So I just got home from PodCon. PodCon was an event in Seattle. I got home yesterday, so I am horrifically jet lagged today. And PodCon was arranged and organized by the same people behind VidCon. PodCon was the VidCon for podcasts, which is a thing that I've wanted for a long time. There are a bunch of podcast conferences that exist that I haven't been too interested in because they're kind of all about growth hacking your podcast growth, which is not a thing that I'm interested in. But PodCon is a mix of like a fan event and a creator event. It's VidCon for podcasts. And do you know what? PodCon was super awesome. I had a fantastic time, and I really hope that this wasn't just the first PodCon. So I got invited to take part in a bunch of things there, some panels, and I did what they call a podcast scramble, where you hook up with another host, and I did a signing. I did some awesome stuff. And as I mentioned, PodCon was in Seattle, which is a long flight. It's like a 10-hour flight, but I'll tell you what, the views going into Seattle were unbelievable. It really is a beautiful place from above. And I liked it from the ground too. Seattle has a lot of character to it. I like Portland a lot, and Seattle reminds me of Portland. Or I should say Portland reminds me of Seattle. I don't want to upset anyone. I know there's a bit of a rivalry there. Let's just say that they have some similarities that I enjoy. So I arrived in Seattle on Thursday. I did my best to stay awake. I watched the Video Game Awards as a thing to keep me awake for the day. And for once, I actually was able to kick myself into a pretty good sleep schedule, and I was just sleeping normally for the rest of the week, which was extremely useful because it was incredibly busy. Friday was kind of a chill-out day mostly, but it included one of the things that made me super excited to go to PodCon in the first place, which was to see and attend some shows from people whose stuff I really love. So me and my friend Brian, we drove to Tacoma, Washington, which was, well, it should only be about 45 minutes away, but there was like crazy traffic, so it was like 2 hours away. And we went to see The Adventure Zone, which is a podcast that I found out about this year and fell in love with immediately. It's by the McElroy brothers and their dad, and it is a Dungeons and Dragons real play podcast, and it is absolutely wonderful. Even if that sentence doesn't excite you in any way, The Adventure Zone is one of the greatest stories that I have ever consumed. I just binged the entire show. Please go and download The Adventure Zone if you haven't. It was awesome to see them do an episode live. This has been something that I've wanted to see since I started listening to the show. So that was my Friday. We went to see The Adventure Zone, and it was amazing. PodCon itself started on Saturday, and my first thing that I did was to moderate a panel about podcast networks. This was something that I've been working on really hard because there were some amazing people on the panel, and I wanted to do the best job that I could, and honestly, I was really proud of how it came out. We had an absolutely fantastic discussion with just some awesome people. So I want to read out the list of people. I have it here on my phone. Oh, look at this. I have a Relay FM pop socket. I made it myself. You can make them yourself. But anyway, the panel had Roman Mars from Radiotopia, Christy Gressman and Joseph Fink from Night Vale Presents, Gabby Dunn from Bad with Money, and Justin McElroy, previously of The Adventure Zone, who I was talking about, and my brother and me, and many more. And the conversation was awesome, and I was really happy with the way that it came out. I'm actually going to leave a link below. You can sign up to... PodCon haven't asked me to do this, but I wanted to recommend it anyway. A lot of the panels and the podcast scrambles and the presentations are available as a remote attendance ticket, so they've recorded them, so you'll be able to download them and listen to them. I really recommend it. I'm going to do it myself, actually, because there's a bunch of panels that I missed that I want to get, so there'll be a link below for that. I also did my podcast scramble with Kevin Porter of the Gilmore Guys, and we spoke about regret, which was actually a really fun thing. We actually had a really good time. Me and Kevin got along really, really well. We had a great chemistry. And we had a really fun conversation about the things that we've done, maybe some regrets that we've made, and how we felt about regret as a whole. It was actually a really good conversation. Saturday also ended with a recording of My Brother and Me. This is an episode that's now available right now. They put it out in their feed. Again, Mabim Bam is a show that I found this year and absolutely fell in love with. And it was so awesome to be able to see them record an episode live. I was super excited about that. Sunday was the thing that I was the most... Sunday was the thing I was most nervous of. It was my signing. I had no idea what to expect when it came to doing a signing. So I had these posters made as like a bribery tactic. So everybody that came to my signing got one of these amazing posters by a fantastic artist by the name of CJ Rowland. I'm going to put a link to CJ in the description as well because he just did an amazing job. There are like a billion references in this poster. Again, only people that came to PodCon got these. And that was my bribery to get people to come. And the turnout was incredible. I was overwhelmed by the amount of people that came to the signing.
Oh, look at all you lovely people. Say hi for the vlog. Look at this. Oh, wow.
I didn't do a very good job. The volunteer had to keep telling me to hurry up because I was spending too much time with each person, but I couldn't help it. Like, I was overwhelmed by the amount of people that came. And if you were somebody that came to my signing, thank you so much for doing that. It was an absolute life moment for me. Like, seriously, to be able to see all those people who wanted to meet me, it was wild and wonderful. And thank you so much. One of the other things that was amazing for me at PodCon was being able to spend time with a bunch of amazing creators like the McElroy brothers and Aaron Mahnke and Roman Mars. And then like Gabby Dunn, Christy Guessman. I've got like a list of people that like Hank Green. I got to meet the Green brothers. Wow, like Hank and John. And I hung out with Hank a bit and got to talk to him and really was just like saying to him, please, like this PodCon thing, it is an awesome thing. Please keep doing this PodCon thing. And I hope that he'll listen to me. And then also as well, like I got to hang out with a bunch of friends, the incomparable guys like Brian and Quinn and like Doug and Kathy. And like it was, I got to meet, just tons of fantastic people. And that was one of the things, like with all conferences that I've ever been to, one of the best things about them is the people, and PodCon had those people for sure. The PodCon audience in general was wonderful. I think it's one of the things that made the event feel so good. The people, like there were so many people in cosplay for their favorite shows. Everybody that I met there was super kind and warm. It had this feeling that other conferences and conventions that I've been to haven't had. And it was just this like admiration, this warmth, like everyone that was there just came to see their favorite shows. Like it just felt really amazing, and I absolutely loved that feeling about PodCon. The whole thing was super well organized, and honestly, one of the big things that I went away with was this feeling of like how the medium of podcasts is so democratized. Like anyone can have a show, and you know what? You should. If you like something, if you want to make a podcast about something, there's nobody stopping you from doing it. Just go do it. It doesn't matter if nobody listens. Do it because you love it. And honestly, I think everybody that I know that has a successful podcast started something because they wanted to do it, because it was something that they loved, not because they wanted to make $1 million. I don't think that's what makes successful podcasts. Successful podcasts are made by people that love them, and you love shows because you can tell the love in them. When you can feel that somebody is super excited about making a thing, it makes you excited to listen. And that's what I love about podcasts, and in turn, that was what I loved about PodCon.